Hello and welcome back. Amadeus is here, guys. Okay, for today's video, I'm gonna talk about like the new mad scientist node from Matteo, which is basically an advanced node for the IP adapter. So it's like a much more advanced node where you can control like the unit blocks. But we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, let's start to dissect my workflow. First things first, I have my processing group, which is like the normal group that I have in all my workflows, in which it loads, like they have the k-sampler loader, blah, blah, blah. But the only thing different here is that I use a string selector in which I have a couple of prompts, and to choose a prompt, you just select the number. So for this, if you add like this symbol, it means number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on and so forth, okay? For the second part, I have my mad scientist nodes, but I don't just have one, I have 4 to just experiment more, okay? I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. And they are all connected to like the unit blocks weights. So basically, if you want to change like the weight of the mad scientist node, you don't come and change it from here. Because here you change like everything. You change like all of the unit blocks, the weight of the unit blocks. But the new method, you just come here, and you can have like all of your blocks, and each block contribute more to like something. For example, composition number 3 contribute to composition a lot. So if I make 2, that means like, okay, block number 3 will contribute 2, which will make our IP adapter, like the first one, contribute to composition more. Okay. For the second one, I experimented a lot, so I wanted just to transmit a texture that I send, and not to make it bleed into like a person or a character or something, which is kind of hard. So I played a lot with the weights, and I came up with like those values. Okay, but for the style, for the style transfer, remember I told you the composition is controlled by 3. Okay, and sometimes also if you add like 0.5 in 5 or something, it can add to like the composition. For the style, number 6 adds to the style. So basically, if we have like 2 style images and you want like the first one to add like 60%, 65% or 2/3, and this one like only 35%, you just come here and make it like this 2, and this one like 1, or like whatever you want, whatever value you want. But remember, just count to 6. Okay? And it doesn't mean like only 6 or 3 controls composition. They are all interconnected, but you have to experiment to understand it. And I also added here like a little bit of description for the unit blocks and which blocks contribute to what. Okay, and you have to try. Okay, and also I added here an illustration of the units. Those are the units in which like the image is decoded and encoded. Each block has like a certain function. Okay, so some like the first blocks understand like shapes and textures. The late, for example, ones understand like spatial composition. This is why like 3 is like connected to composition. I think it's this one or this one. I'm not like a researcher or something, but like here you have a detailed illustration exactly of what's happening, and you can try. Okay. Also, I added here like a controller for like the mad scientist. So basically, if you want to only enable composition, you just disable this. If you want to enable all of them, just enable all of them. If you just enable like 2, just enable 2, and so on and so forth. And here we have like the resolution like controller. Okay, perfect. Okay, for the first example, I made like really cool stuff, but for me this is like really important because I want to make like a t-shirt in which like the person is not bleeding. Like I don't have a person. If I add here the style too much, like for example 0.8, sometimes it adds like a person also, but like for example if I made it like this, this 2 or something, it will add like a person in like the final image. Okay, but I just want to transfer like this texture. So I experimented a lot, but be free to experiment and just send to me like, let's share, because this is an experimental like thing. But here I'm going to show you like how I can transfer textures if I have just like an alpha of like a t-shirt or like a black and white t-shirt PNG. Here, okay. So basically I just sent it. Okay, sorry guys, I didn't notice, but I was just opening like the last one. And it's really important to have like just texture to make the bleeding less. So we are trying to make the bleeding much more less as we can. Okay. So let's try again. And also take note, like if you misspell or like remove one of this, it sometimes the math scientist won't work because you have to have like the 11 blocks. So basically this is really cool. It creates like the t-shirt with our texture, which is really amazing. It can be used like as a class creator or something. Okay, let's try another texture file, like close texture. Let's just go here and let's grab like this one, for example. It's all like skulls and like watermelons. I don't know why, but okay, let's experiment with this one. Okay, that's really cool. It transferred the texture to like and colors to like our image, which can be really, really cool. Okay, so for this second one, I made it to transfer texture, which is really, really sensitive. Actually, if you increase, like you have to experiment and just like send to me if you found like a better parameters for this. But okay, let's close the texture and let's try like the style. So I mixed like two styles and let's change this to like a mad like scientist's photo or something to follow the composition. Okay. Okay, first let's try without like this one, without any composition, and let's try here, for example, one. Basically, it chooses like the first one. Okay, let's hit Q prompt and let's check what's happening. It's going to load like the IP adapters here. The styles. Which one it loaded? It loaded to Devilish Night Club DJ because it's one. Okay, I have to choose zero, but this is really cool. Also, because it mixed between like this image and this image and created like this, which can be really cool. Also, if we check the weight here, I made like the second image contribute with 0.5. For the first image, it contributes with 1.5. Also, I almost forgot. If you come here and choose the, because I'm using linear, so basically all of my numbers are in positive. So if you say 1, it would be equal 1.5 equal 0.5. But if you use the style transfer precise, in number 3, if you write 1, it would be by negative. So it's like writing -1. You have to be very careful of this. Okay, but almost like I use always linear because it's the same thing and you have much more control. Okay, let's try with a mad scientist to think, Rick and Morty and stuff. Let's try it. Let's save this one, I like it. It's really, really cool. Let's save it. Okay, maybe let's change the resolution. Let's make it wider a little bit and let's try again. Uh, no, no, not the evil twin mad scientist. Okay. Okay, this looks fucking cool. It mixes between like my two images and it's really, really cool. It's creating like this really weird Rick Sanchez. Okay, let's try the composition one. And maybe let's try like this one and let's try. I've never actually tried. Okay, let's try this one first. Okay, it kind of created in like the environment and same composition, but I didn't drive it that much. Uh, you can check how the composition thing drives by, for example, if I just take like a flying, let's try like something very weird like this. Okay, and let's try, for example, making the composition here 2 and here 0.5. Let's try. really cool. It took from the composition like the flying, so it understood like he's flying, and it brought like Rick Sanchez. It mixed the style of this and took from this. Of course, there are like some style bleeding here because I added to like this 5, and also like this. If you push it so some like hard, it's gonna have some little bit of like style bleeding, but it's almost better than the old like IP adapter. Okay, okay, guys. For today's video, I think I'll wrap it around here. And please follow, subscribe, and see you. Bye bye.